Hi Taurus, welcome to your May 2018 love reading. It's Rena here. Happy birthday to those of you born in May, as well as those born in late April, because I'm actually recording this in April. So happy birthday to those watching in April. All right. I'm shuffling the cards. I've been kind of playing with my tripod here, and I still am not able to move it as much as I want. So if there's some card that's not in the frame, I can certainly I'll be holding it up anyway, is what I'm saying. Whenever I get the Ten of Swords, I do pick an additional card. Okay. Just because the Ten of Swords is, it's not, because it's a negative card, because it really, it actually can be a card that assures people, the Ten of Swords, because it can say the worst is over, of whatever situation you've been dealing with, if it's an emotional situation, or what have you. So, but I just do it because it's not the kind of thing that kind of wraps it up. It just opens up a new can of worms in a way. Okay, so the heart of the matter in May is the Hangman. Actually, this card connects with Neptune, and Neptune rules Pisces, so you could say by extension it could be somebody of that sign, or they have those tendencies. But this is a card where maybe you've done all that you can do in a situation, and you are leaving it up to God now. Let go and let God. That's what that card represents. And it's a card of surrender. And a lot of people think that surrender is giving up, but actually it couldn't be further from the truth. Actually, surrender is admitting that you can't control every aspect of a situation, and you actually have faith. It's really about having faith that things are going to work out for your highest good. So whatever that means to you, that's fine. And even if you're single, because, I'm always into the relationships, it could mean that you're not trying so hard in terms of finding a new person. I really believe that more times than not, people meet the person that is their soulmate or that they're meant to be with when they're not looking for him or her. So I don't know if I'm true or if I'm accurate about that, but I do think that when people deliberately try to do things, a lot of times they come up short because they're putting too much emphasis on the result instead of just enjoying their life unfolding as it is and having kind of that non-resistant vibe happening. Okay. What crosses you, what is the obstacle, is the Ace of Swords. So this is about getting things going. And of course, with that Hangman, it's that things are in suspension. So you may be wanting to get on with your life in some way, but something is keeping that from happening. If you're let's say you're in the process of getting divorced, you may have some kind of reason that it's going to take longer than you thought, and you can't, your hands are tied at the moment, and you're really chomping at the bit to get your life back on track and open a new chapter. Maybe you've even met a new person, and you feel like, no, I can't really get involved with that person until I've ended this marriage or long-term relationship. But there may even be legal reasons why this is happening. Regardless of the circumstances, the Ace is the absolute beginning, and the Hangman is being forced or wanting to just let things sit for a while and not force anything. Also, with the Ace of Swords, this is an important thing. It can be about clarity of thought, that you know exactly what you need to do in a situation. And with that as a challenge card, the Ace of Swords, it could be that you're still not, you're in denial, that you're not seeing things as they really are. And that is creating that diluted state where you, maybe with the Hangman, you're like letting go of trying to control something, but even though that's a good idea in most cases, you still think that there's hope in a situation where it's not really happening, and that you would be better off just moving on with your life, but you still are kind of like trying to make it work. And this is like typical for Taurus because of the fixed, you know, quality of what Taurus, the fixed modality they call it. And it makes you very, you know, people say, oh, Taurus people are stubborn, but it makes you very resolute. And when you have a fixed sign, sometimes they get fixated on an idea, and that can lead them to want to maintain it at all costs, even if it's not working out too well. The root cause of the situation is the Ten of Wands, and this is a card of carrying more than your share of responsibility. So this may characterize the relationship that we're talking about here, where you are shouldering the responsibility. It could come in different ways. It could be that you are supporting the other person financially. It could be that you are, I think more than that though, it's more like you trying to always be the one to call the person, and you know, you're in contact with them. You're always coming up with ideas that you guys can do for going out, and they don't really reciprocate with that same level of, you know, concern about the relationship. It's like you're keeping it afloat, but you may be doing so because unconsciously you know that it's like kind of floundering. So I also think sometimes that the Ten of Wands is a card of struggle to me, and it can be, and also it's a card of like working very hard. So it could be that you were in a relationship that didn't work out because of your work hours. You were working very hard and you didn't have time for the relationship. So the other person may have just strayed or whatever happened that didn't cause you to really form that deep connection with that person. But I also wanted to say that this card is a card associated with possible, you know, working so much that you may burn out or something along those lines, and just shouldering the burden of that situation. And I feel like a lot of times when people work really hard at something, they're actually going against what is happening. In other words, I mean, you know, they're going against the energetic makeup of the situation. If I can't think of a better word than that. Because if this can apply to anything in life actually, but we're talking about relationships here, but if you try too hard in any area and you try to force things and you don't see those results, you don't double down. You are like the Hangman. You are like kind of take a back step and see if things ease up. And if they don't, then you realize it isn't meant to be. And I could see a Taurus person like doubling down. Now, maybe now you finally gotten the memo that it's just not working, and you've decided to let it go, but it might be too late, you know? It depends on the situation, so we'll see. The spiritual message is represented by the Queen of Pentacles, and this is a card of, it could be like a mother figure, it could be, and this would be like a Mother Earth, Earth Mother type of a woman. And there may be, like, for some Taurus, obviously, I was going to say you'd have to be a woman, but not really. Now that I think about it, you really don't have to be a woman. You may have gotten into a relationship and your biggest goal, your biggest dream was to be a stay-at-home parent. And you didn't have like these, you know, you may have a job or a career, but you, in your heart of hearts, that's what you want to do more than anything else. And something may have kind of made those plans go awry. Looking at that Ten of Wands, it's like it's something that you may not have bargained for. The other thing too is that this is your natural birthright, because you are an earth sign and pentacles relate to earth. So if this is something that you want, if you want a nice, comfortable, beautiful home, and you really want to have a life that you feel is in alignment with your particular personality and desires, you have to decide whether the person that you are currently with is going to provide that for you. And if you're single, I mean, this card can simply mean that this is an area of your life that means a lot to you. And so that should be reflected in the kind of person that you are getting involved with. It doesn't matter, too. I mean, you could be 60 years old and the Queen of Pentacles could still be relevant, because even if you're past the age of having, you know, starting a family or anything like that, you still may have certain aspirations. You may still want, even on the material level, you may still want to share a life with somebody and live in the country, for instance. You know, I could see the Queen of Pentacles being connected to nature, being connected to a quieter way of living. And you may be in a fast pace with the Ten of Wands, and you yearn for this, you know, this quiet life. And in order to go in the direction of your dreams, you have to have something there that is going to match that. It never ceases to amaze me. There's so many people, and they get involved with someone who really is wildly incompatible with them, but I think there's scarcity consciousness. Especially as people get older, they're like, oh my God, but there might not be anybody else. And you have to hold out for something that you know is going to be more compatible with you. And you have to value compatibility. I mean, that has to be like first on your list of like having things in common and really getting along on a consistent basis and things like that. So the advice is represented by the Three of Wands, and this is a card of expansion. This is a card of looking outside your little backyard. This person wants to have, they want to have freedom, but they also want to have adventure. They want to maybe travel. And so if there's any kind of opportunity for you to travel, Taurus, you should probably jump at it. You do have, I'm trying to think of your 9th house, which would be the house of foreign travel, and that would be Capricorn. And there's a lot of energy, like long-term, like Pluto is in your 9th house and things like that. So you get a planet like Pluto. Now Saturn is in there, so that might, you know, create a little bit of restriction, but it might also be Saturn in the 9th house. You might be able to lay down foundation connected to working somewhere far away. You never know. I mean, with Saturn, it's always kind of like serious. So even if it's travel, it would be done for work or educational purposes. And Pluto is very transformative. So you may have a lot of transformation that occurs when you travel. So maybe some of you have been sensing that on some level, but haven't gotten around to doing it. And that card would suggest maybe you're going to meet somebody that is from another country, and maybe you meet them while you're on a trip, and that changes your life. What's coming in is represented by the Six of Cups. This is a soulmate card. This is connected to Cancer specifically, but it can indicate somebody who maybe from your past, maybe a childhood friend or a friend of a friend or your high school sweetheart. There seems to be a lot of that happening. Twin flame, soulmate. I think I said that at first. Now, how does that fit into all of this? Well, it could be that, again, with that Ace of Swords, perhaps you've been a little bit in denial over something, just because it's been comfortable for you. And you're in that process. Maybe that Hangman is you are waiting for something so that you can get divorced. Maybe your children, you have a child left in high school and you want them to leave high school before you move on with your life, and they're going to graduate in June, or it's just a little bit of time left. There could be different reasons why you're waiting about something, but there's that soulmate. I can't tell you more than that. This is a general reading, but just saying that was the card I got for what's coming in. So take it for what it is. And the outcome, just like I said before with the Ten of Swords, the number 10 is the end of a cycle. So the worst is over. Maybe this has to do with a marriage or the equivalent of a marriage, and you have kind of accepted it. This is the card of betrayal. And sometimes, and this can be like why a person is in denial, because they don't want to admit that they were deceived. Maybe it's just an ego thing. It feels embarrassing to think that somebody that you cared about did something to you, but you're ready to move on if that's the case. And you're ready to start a new chapter. And I did pick an additional card, which was the Two of Pentacles, and this actually can connect with working overseas. You can see the water. This can indicate that you're juggling a lot, like you have a lot on your plate, which is kind of seconded by that first card. You may be very busy right now. There's a lot of balls up in the air that you're juggling, and yet you may be pondering a job offer overseas, and that is going to take you into your next phase, possibly. Or it could simply mean that you're just like very consumed with all of the activity around you, and you're just, you're just chilling right now as you're waiting for whatever this thing is to occur. But I did get the soulmate card, so that person may be coming into the picture at some point. Okay, Taurus, I hope you enjoyed this, and please check the link below this video for, to get in contact with my website if you're interested in ordering a love reading or any other type of reading. Take care. Bye.